What do you actually want? Initially, that seems like an absolutely stupid question, because when you're 4 or 5 pints in a dark corner of a bar chatting shit with your friends, the answers immediately come to you. It's a nice car, your own business, more money, and a kick-ass house. But in the days that follow after the inevitable hangover passes, the answer isn't quite as clear. So while it seems like a stupid question, the reality is that nobody's actually ever taught us how to answer it. When we're kids and we're in school, we don't have to make any decisions about the direction we want to go. We just rock up to school, do our work, take our homework home and get it done, and if we do that, we get a good grade. Then when we're finished school and we go into our career, essentially the same thing happens. You've probably got somebody whispering in your ear as to what work you need to do to get promoted, to earn more money, and before you know it, you're in your mid-30s or early 40s trying to figure out exactly how you ended up on this path. And that's when most of us hit a point in our life where we're not really sure what way to go. And so what do? We pull out our journal to try and figure out what that is, or listen to some podcasts to see what other successful people have done to figure this out for themselves. But the reality is that finding clarity isn't a problem that you can solve by just thinking about it. And that's mainly because all the tools we have for thinking are the ones that we developed going through the system that got us into this position in the first place. Instead, if you want to find that clarity you've been looking for, you need to go back and assess your behaviors. And there's 3 different lenses that you can look at your behaviors through to try and figure out where that clarity might be. The first lens is your energy, and essentially it boils down to trying to figure out what things energize you versus what things drain you. For the things that energize us, it's really going to be as simple as what are the things that you do that you get absolutely lost in, where you lose track of time, and when you're finished and you're wiping your hands clean, that you feel satisfied and excited to come back to it the next day. And while we'll never be able to get away from all the things that drain us, if right now you're on a path which is just going to bring you more and more and more of them as time goes on, well, that's definitely a signal that you're headed in the wrong direction. The second lens is envy, and that's not a character flaw, it's actually a compass. Because when you see people out there with things that you feel like you want, that's telling you something, that's giving you more information as to where you might want to go in your life. So rather than feeling bad about being envious or jealous of what other people have, dig into that. What specifically about what they have is something that you want? The obvious and immediate example that comes to mind is having more money, because that's easy. When you have a lot of money, you don't have to worry about bills and you can do whatever you want. But dig deeper into it. What specifically do you want? Is it that you want to go on more holidays and travel the world? Or is it that you don't want financial burdens to be something that you have to worry about? Dig into what that envy is telling you, and what specifically about whatever it is you're envious of is actually going to give you the freedom from. The last lens is ease. And in your life, I want you to think about some of the things that you're really, really good at, despite not really giving it as much effort as other people needed to. What are some of the things that people come to you and ask you for some advice or guidance on? Or maybe even some of the things that you're naturally good at that other people have had to work really, really hard for. The reality is that yes, you probably do have some natural skills in this area, but I bet that if you stopped and looked back, that you actually did put in quite a lot of work too. But the reason that you didn't notice is because it didn't feel like work at the time. It didn't feel like work because it's something that you enjoyed. It's something that gave you satisfaction. So by looking at your behaviors and seeing what you're doing really, really well at compared to some of your peers, well, that could be giving you a signal as to something that you want to spend a little bit more time doing in the future. When you put all of this together, there's actually a really simple exercise that you can do that will give you that clarity you're looking for. And all it will take is 5 minutes a day for the next 5 days. All you're going to do is either open up the voice notes app on your phone or get a piece of paper to start writing down, when is the last time you felt alive? Don't think too much about it, because you can very, very quickly get into your head about this. But essentially what you're trying to do is get as close to figuring out exactly and specifically what it was you're doing when you felt that feeling of being alive. What were you doing? Where were you doing it? Who were you with? What was the context around actually getting it started? Get all that information, write it down or talk into the voice notes app and just capture everything. During each individual session, you're not trying to come up with any answers, but just trying to get as much clarity and detail around why it is you felt alive in that specific moment. And once you've done that, you stop and move on about the rest of your day. Then over the next 4 days, you're going to come back and do that exact same thing. But when you get to the last day, that's when we do something new. We go back and we either read down through all those notes or listen to those old voice notes to try and figure out what the patterns were. Essentially, you're trying to figure out what each of those examples have in common and what details you can pull from that. Now, for full transparency, I would be very, very shocked if any of you got the full 100% clarity you're looking for from this, but that's only because that's not how clarity works. It's kind of like coming up with the perfect plan. A lot of people try and sit down and come up with that perfect ideal plan on paper before they actually do any of the groundwork. But the reality is that the best approach to take is come up with a very loose and rough plan first, give it a go, see what works and see what doesn't, and then adjust and move on from that point. And clarity is no different. What we're looking for is a broad direction of where it is that we think we may need to go. Then we use that to take some action to give us more information so that when we get to the next time we're trying to look for that clarity, we can actually start narrowing down that band of focus even more. The goal through all of this is picking a better direction, not to come up with the perfect one. If this video hit a little too close to home, well, I hope it's given you some information to help you move forward. But if you'd like to take it one step further, I've got a completely free course which you can sign up for in the link description down below called Your Next Move Clarified. It's a 20-day email course where I talk you through right from not knowing where to go all the way through to having complete clarity in the direction that you need to go and how to get there. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I'll leave a link down in the description below. With that said, that's this week's video. Make sure you check out the link below and I will talk to you in the next one. Peace.